right, everyone, we are here last day of AmFest 2023, and you know how Lord Benjamin and I do. We always got to jazz it up on the last day. Look at my shoes, okay? See, I look fabulous. Benjamin looks fabulous behind the camera, but you know who else looks fabulous? Callie Fontanilla. Did I say it right? Fontanilla?
Fontanilla.
Fontanilla.
Yeah.
Callie Fontanilla. You guys, we love her. We met her last year at America Fest, and we've been following your journey over the last year. So, you and Jessica, what's your last name again?
Tapia.
Okay, so we just met Jessica. These are two teachers, okay, two folks in the education system who decided to fight back against the narrative, fight back against the wokeism, and suffered some consequences for it. So now, Jessica, you got fired.
Correct.
Okay, and now, Callie, if I remember correctly, you quit.
Yeah, I resigned.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is we've got a shortage of teachers in this country because they're either sick and tired of the crap and they're leaving, or they're being fired if they stand up for themselves. So it's like we wonder why there's a shortage, as if it's like confusing or a mystery.
Right.
So would each of you take a moment, share with our viewers, what had you like? What was it like going from being passionate about filling little minds with information to being just fed up with the system completely?
Yeah, so you know what? I had kind of been last year, kind of been seeing on social media some people share that crazy stuff was happening in education. And it wasn't stuff I was seeing as a teacher, so it was kind of like, is this really real sort of thing? You know, when something hasn't hit your front door yet, you're like, is that story real?
So what state do you live in?
I live in California.
So wait a second, you are in crazy woke California, and it wasn't like, it hadn't yet infiltrated your district?
No,
Really?
It hadn't. And you know what's even crazier about my story is people assume that there was a very specific situation, something I did at work that got me fired. I was literally fired based on hypothetical situations where my district said, okay, let's paint this scenario out. Hypothetically, if you had a student who was a boy and now requesting to be referred to as a female, would you ... And I just simply said no. Like I would speak the truth. I would live out the truth. These are my beliefs, and that was not allowed.
And wasn't it really, the big deal was you said you weren't going to lie to parents.
Yeah, so really three directives that were put on me that I said I wouldn't comply with. I said I would not call students by their preferred gender or pronoun. I would not lie to parents about that, because they did ask me to withhold that info from parents if I ever had a student coming to me with a new preference, which I never had. Yeah. And then thirdly, I'm in a unique position as a PE teacher. I oversee a locker room. So I said I would not be allowing boys in the girls' locker room. Again, hypothetical. I never had a boy come to my front door locker room and say, I'm a female now, let me in. Never had that. And I just said if I did, I wouldn't do it if I knew he had male parts. And they said, we have a whole other issue with you then.
Definitely. You must be an istophobe. Okay, now we're clear about it. Now, Callie, Callie, I'm sorry. I keep wanting to call you Callie because you're also from Cali.
I don't mind.
So Callie, it's just stuck in my head. So, Callie, you guys are mandatory reporters, right? Okay, so now if we know, as an example, that transgender youth have a 50% suicidality rate, or they're very likely to commit suicide, to engage in self-harm and things like that. How are you guys no longer mandatory reporters? Like, why isn't that considered something that is putting children at risk?
Well, it's funny. That's a really good question, because when you're asked to hide gender pronouns from parents, the common excuse is, well, the child could experience abuse at home. And if a child is experiencing abuse at home, we need to be reporting it. Yeah. So it's like this, it's so stupid, because what are we protecting, this abusive parents? Or they're not abusive parents, and we're just hiding this child wants to separate from their parents, and they're just hiding from the parent what's going on at school. And that's their excuse.
Yeah.
Because if a child is that at risk, you should not just allow that to happen. You should be reporting it instead of saying, oh, well, come into my classroom and let me just protect your gender identity from your parents, because you could be abused. If they're genuinely going to be abused by the parent, you need to report it.
It is like the logic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lack of logic. Okay, these things do not make any sense to me. I think any reasonable person. And so, for you, what was your last straw, Collie, when you decided to resign?
It was masks. We had critical race theory. I was exposing those lessons online.
Okay.
I felt like I needed to protect my students from these lessons.
Yeah.
So because I was tenured, and so I was starting my district. We were not like your district. We were one of the first.
Yeah.
My district had critical race theory in the lessons for ethnic studies.
Wow.
Like it said, students were taught critical race theory. They were also taught to look at school policy through the critical race theory lens.
Ooh.
And they were taught the definition, they were taught how good it is. And so I was protecting my students from these lessons because I would get them and I wouldn't teach them. Right? I was teaching them about the dangers of communism, which you should be able to do in a capitalist country. But I was protecting them because my job was to make sure my students could read and write, not make sure they're little Marxist communists, right?
Yes.
And so
I mean, so when y'all went to school, right? Because you got to get an education to be an educator, right? You have to have a degree. Now, did they sit you down and say, okay, ladies, we want to indoctrinate children. I know you think that you're coming to help influence their little minds and teach them, but instead you're going to teach them to be mindless automatons, okay? Did they say that?
Well, that is what's happening in our teacher education programs this last 10 years. So that's part of the reason why our schools have changed so much, is the teacher education programs are controlled by Marxists, especially in all of these woke college campuses.
Yeah.
And there is an emphasis on making sure that these kids become activists.
Yeah.
And that is in the curriculum. In fact, there's more time spent on that than making sure you know how to control your classroom.
I mean, well, isn't that they're having kids with emotional and developmental problems who are disruptive, beating the teachers in the classroom, and then, kids who are geniuses aren't getting the education they need, and then they're scheduling walkouts. The teachers are having the students do walkouts to show them how to be activists, right? I mean, this is just like, where's the education anymore?
Right. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. You speak of walkouts in a town local to me. A policy was recently passed that there can only be the American flag in classrooms. Get that, right? Only the American flag should be in classrooms.
Oh, that sounds like some terrorists.
That obviously just
definitely terrorists
stirred up, the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Hundreds of students walked out of class off school campus. The crossing guards are just like letting them go across. There's video footage.
Flag policy?
Because they were mad that the flag policy passed and that teachers aren't allowed to put political, flags in their classrooms.
Here's the deal. If they want separation of church and state so badly,
right,
why do they have the flag of what is essentially a religious cult? Why are they defending these things, right? Whether it's the BLM flag or the pride flag or whatever it is, these are political organizations that are cult-like in nature. We want those hanging in our classrooms, but heaven forbid we should just be having an American flag, which is our country.
It's this whole excuse of inclusivity, I think.
Yeah.
And that's where, I went to this board meeting and I spoke on the flag policy, obviously in favor for it. And I was, I'm like, the American flag is for all. For all. We don't need another one.
Yes. So wait a second. Do you mean that the American flag is inclusive?
Absolutely, exactly what I'm saying.
It actually represents all Americans,
correct,
regardless of skin color, gender identity, or who you choose to have sex with?
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure if you're a child, you don't need to be having conversations about who you want to have sex with.
Please don't.
Particularly with your teachers. I mean, isn't that how you end up with all these scandals of teachers and students kind of having relations that they're not supposed to have? Like, okay. I'm getting fired up. Okay. So we've talked about the problem. Now, Kali, you have transitioned since you resigned. You started your own curriculum. Share with our viewers where they can learn more about that. What's your website? What's your social media? If they want to homeschool, if they want to not have their kids in this crazy woke indoctrination camp, how can they support you and get your curriculum?
Well, I want to remind parents that these are your children.
Ooh.
And if your child came home and they said, oh, I was at a neighbor's house and they were telling me about their gender identity and asking me to explore different sexual orientations, and they had me read this book where there was sexually explicit acts in them.
Can you imagine?
And what would you do as a parent? Would you let that child continue to go over to that neighbor's
fight
house?
them?
Exactly.
Put hands on them.
But somehow we give a pass to these teachers that honestly they're not more educated than the average person pretty much. A teacher program is 1 year long. And they're especially not educated on how to counsel children in their sexuality.
Outrageous.
Yes.
I can't believe there aren't more teachers being like, nah, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, bro. I'm not talking to children about
also
sex.
to protect themselves
Yes.
as well.
Oh my God.
And the rate of teachers molesting children right now has gone up.
Really?
It has gone up. It has tripled. Yes.
Exactly. That's why
Exactly.
I said, there's got to be some kind of a
Teachers are
correlation.
not
More has
children.
been opened up.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
Good
So-
reminder. Thank you for that.
And that's like been my mission. I don't want to be just part of. I don't want to just expose the problem, but I also want to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And I had the resources to be able to open a school. I cashed out my retirement. And because it's in California anyways, you can't really trust your California teacher. But I don't trust these like Gen Zers to give me my money when I'm 70.
That is,
I don't. Okay, I'm sorry. They're like they want to like take out the older generations. They're scary.
Real talk, y'all.
So I cashed out my retirement, and my husband and I, who's also a teacher, we opened a K through 12 online academy called Exodus Institute, and it's nationally accredited. And you can get information on it at thinkexodus.org. And then,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Is that like a double meaning, Exodus, as in like
Leave. Get the hell out. Sorry. And that's in general. Exit government control. Don't eat what they're telling you to eat. Don't inject what they're telling you to inject. Don't indoctrinate your children with what they're telling you to indoctrinate, because they're out to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it's time to leave that and take control of your life, take control of your child's education. It's worth it.
Yeah.
They're only children once.
Boom. Drop the mic. I feel like that was a mic drop moment.
Just kidding. It's actually common sense.
Yeah.
It's sad that
Is sad.
It's sad
Yeah.
that that's something that's like, wow, you know? 'cause it's-
Shocker.
All these people on stage that are like, a woman is a woman and a man, and I'm just like, what? And we're like,
where are we?
Ovation. I'm like, what in the world have we come
What
to?
kind of world is this?
That is sad, you guys. That is sad.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay. So now, Jessica, what is the website, social media that our viewers can find the school, find you, and stuff
sure.
like that?
That's at thinkexodus.org, and then I'm on all the
thinkexodus.org.
major platforms. But
Okay, and
but
it's
more
Kali,
impor-
K-A-L-I.
K-A-L-I,
And
yeah.
spell your last name for everybody.
Fontanilla, Fontanilla, and the website's thinkexodus.org.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what it's so funny. I'm like, I see your name every time we see your videos, and I was like, Fontanilla. How do I spell that, Benjamin? And we had to look it up, and it was a reminder that it was 2 L's.
Yes.
So all right. So you
Thank
got the
you,
spelling.
yes.
Okay, now Jessica.
Yeah.
Now you were tenured.
Yep.
And we didn't know that a tenured teacher could get fired, but apparently you
either.
can. So what's next for you? What are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm in a lawsuit. I can't speak too much on it without my
Okay.
lawyers here, but I
Okay.
am suing my school district and
love it.
very hopeful for victory, because really where we've come, I feel like in this culture in today's day and age is we're seeing these transgender, and I call them special rights, transgender special rights come head to head with our freedom of speech and religious liberty, and one of them supersedes the other. And right now culture is saying that transgender special rights supersede our constitutional
Everyone
rights,
else's
but that is
rights.
false. But the thing is, we're going to need some sort of very strong case or court ruling precedents to just wake up America.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I haven't been able to understand is that you can insult Christians, Jews, all
day
you
long.
want. You can call us names, you can call us colonizers, and all of these other things. But trans people, gay people, they're off the list. You're not allowed to say anything negative about them or the agenda, or even not even gay people, but this agenda that is being pushed, right? And like, why do they get special rights and privileges above everyone else? Do either of you know like how they can come up with this excuse or why it's like this?
You know, I mean, I think it's all rooted in evil, in Satan, and we know that he's the father of lies and deception. And so, you know, somehow he's done his job in deceiving many people into thinking that we need to, you know, bow down to one's false, you know, ideas of themselves and their identity. And really, when someone is living out these lies and this deception they've been fed by the devil, they've essentially become their own God in choosing their identity. Our identity comes from our Creator.
Hallelujah.
Whether you believe in Him or not, God created male and female, and we don't get to choose which one we want to be.
Well, Jessica, dropping bars over here. Okay, you guys are both having mic drop moments right now. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, okay, now you all are the educators, okay? I'm pretty sure that in Martin Luther King's speech, where he said, you know, where we will be judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin, right? Oh, no, wait, I screwed it up. Okay, we're going to have to edit this part out. Okay.
I thought you did that perfectly.
Okay, no. Oh, no,
okay.
you know,
Okay,
you,
there you
you
go.
don't know what I'm setting you up for. Okay.
Oh, you get the stuff.
Okay, so now y'all have to remind me because you're the educators, all right? I'm just a lowly YouTube show host, okay? So if I recall correctly, Martin Luther King's speech, what he said was, the content of your character doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is who you choose to have sex with, the color of your skin, and all of the other superficial things about you. Was that how the speech went?
No.
It's not? Wait, how was it that how was it we were encouraged to think back then?
Well, it's also Bob Marley. I'd rather, we want the color of the skin to be the same as the color of the eyes. It's just something you notice, you can admire, but it's not a way, it doesn't change the way you treat someone.
Yeah.
And that's the ideal. That's the way it's going to be in heaven, and Satan hates that.
Yeah.
And the ultimate goal is to get us all to hate ourselves. And that's why he's going after the young people, because it's really hard to be your God-given potential if you hate yourself. And the attack on our young people right now is so heartbreaking, because I taught for 15 years and I started in 2005. Wow. And the kids were happy back then. My high schoolers and middle schoolers, I mean, there's ups and downs as a teenager. You're going to have that. But they were overall happy kids. These kids are not happy.
Yeah.
They're miserable. And they're not, and the suicide rate has gone up. They're acting on it too.
Yeah.
On their depression.
This is what, again, these are things, there's these ideas that I actually learned from educators, right? My sister is an educator. And so psychology or psychological things that have been proven by science over time, right? People rise and fall to the level of expectation. Right. Children need solid foundations for their identity and belonging, right? So that they can, for self-actualization, right? These are all things that we know that we need, and yet the education system, the teachers' unions, Randy Weingarten, they're literally systematically taking all of the things out or adding negative things back in that are sure to create more confusion and despair. And so what would you say if either of you, I want you one last call to action to our viewers and listeners. Tell them, how can you encourage parents, encourage teachers who are struggling the way you are? What message do you want to send to our viewers?
Well, I'll send the one that I've been dealing with this last 3 years.
Yeah.
This is not easy. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And we always want to take the easy route.
Yeah.
It's easy to drop your kid off at school to a free school and, not make the sacrifice of the income maybe for a parent to stay home. It's easy to eat the junk, to go to McDonald's and get the $2 meal or whatever.
I would rather have cake than broccoli.
Exactly. It's just, and so sometimes you just have to do hard things. You have to do things that are uncomfortable. I think both Jessica and I, we have a life that's completely different than what we expected. We were just happy in the classroom, and God has just put us out there, and we're doing all of these uncomfortable things, but we're making an impact because God has asked us to do this. But it's hard, and so I want people to make sure that they are taking care of themselves, because we can't have people on the front lines if they're sick, if they're mentally sick, if they're spiritually sick, if they're physically sick. Then you're just distracted by that.
It's so
and
true.
you can't actually be fighting for our country if you're having to fight for your own life.
Well, and I know for me, I don't know if you have found this, I'm a believer. I've had to dive deeper into my faith to not become bitter and angry and hateful, just like the enemy I'm trying to fight. And so have you found that you had to do the same thing?
There's the Bible verse that in the last days the love will grow cold. Our love will grow cold. And we aren't, because it is so wicked and it's hard, but we got to remember them as children. Because, when we were teachers, we would see these kids and they're the innocent victims. But we were all just children. We're all God's children.
Yes.
And I've been reminded of that this week because trust me, this year, I get so much hate. And so I was starting to get really like, these people are creepy and scary and I don't want anything to do with them. And it's true.
Makes you want to give up.
Yeah, you don't want to be around them because they are creepy and scary, a lot of them. But it doesn't mean they aren't still God's child. And we got to reach them while they're young, too. We got to reach them before they get too crazy and out there.
Yep. Okay. Now, Jessica, if folks want to follow you, support your legal fight, where is there a website? Is there social media? Where do they go?
Yeah, a few things. So I'm most active on my Instagram page. I'm Jessica Tapia, just spelled out IMJESSICA TAPIA. I also just recently made a Twitter because I believe I'm being really shadow banned on Instagram. So at Real Jess Tapia on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. I am being represented by advocates for faith and freedom who are working my case pro bono. So blessed to have them fight on my behalf for my religious liberties. So if you go to their website, I'm not sure what that is, but if you Google Advocates for Faith and Freedom, you'll find it. There's a place you can donate for legal fees there. And then I do also have a Give, Send, Go that my best friend made me when I lost my job and lost my salary and was convinced we were going to probably lose our home. God is good and he has provided and we haven't at this point. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right, fantastic. Okay, and one final word for teachers out there who maybe are too afraid to stand up for their values.
Just do it. There's not going to be anything more worth it than doing exactly that. Standing up, being bold, being courageous, calling out the evil when you see it, when it comes to your front door. Like I said, I was seeing this stuff on social media. I was convinced it wasn't real, and then it came literally knocking at my front door, and I had to either let it in or slam the door on its face and say, no, I will not partake in that evil, in the destruction of our children, in the destruction of parental rights. I just said no. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything in the middle is from the devil. And I know that verse never hit me before until I went through the trial that I did over the past 2 years. And so my absolute call to action to all teachers is take a stand right now. If you know these policies are in your district, you need to speak up and you need to make it known that you will not comply with them. No matter what sacrifice or punishment might come, this is what's going to be the turning point in education, is for us to all rise and stand for what is good, right, and true for children.
Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have been here with Fontanilla.
Yep.
All right. And Jessica Tapia.
Yes.
Right? I said it right? Okay. You guys know I am terrible with pronunciations, but you know who's not terrible? These two ladies. Check them out. Go to the websites they shared. Go to the social media. Follow them. Share their story, because You guys, the next generation is it. And if we don't take a stand, we're not going to have a country left. So thanks, y'all. Peace out from here at America Fest 2023.